You ever walk into a room and, like, within seconds, you feel like you've got everyone figured out? Of course you have. We all do it. So today, we're going to dig into why our brains create these instant character sketches, and more importantly, how we can learn to see the real story behind the first impression. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. You see someone in a white coat. Instantly, your brain probably jumps to words like doctor, scientist, maybe intelligent, right? Now switch that out for a blue blazer. Suddenly, you're thinking CEO, confident, in charge. These are some seriously powerful assumptions, and they're triggered by nothing more than a piece of clothing. And that's the key thing here. This isn't really about fashion. It's all about mental shortcuts. Our brains grab these little visual cues, the coat, the blazer, you name it, and use them to quickly categorize people. We build a whole identity for them before they've even opened their mouth. It's almost like a reflex, isn't it? You don't even think about it, it just happens. But it's not random. There's a real reason our brains are wired to do this. Which, of course, leads to the big question. Why? What's going on in there? So let's get into the why. This next part is all about that snap judgment, that little mental shortcut our brain just loves to take whenever we meet somebody new. Believe it or not, there's actually a name for this. It's called thin slicing. It's this kind of amazing and sometimes totally flawed ability our brain has to take a tiny, tiny sliver of information, a thin slice, and build a massive conclusion out of it. And listen, this isn't some abstract theory. We do this constantly, based on the simplest things you can imagine. It's not just their clothes, it's their hairstyle, the accent they have, their body language, even where they choose to sit in a room. Our brain is just hoovering up all these details in an instant and forming a judgment. And get this number. This really shows you why those little visual cues are so incredibly powerful. A staggering 93% of our communication is nonverbal. 93. That means our brains are literally hardwired to care more about what we see than what we hear, at least in those first few seconds. But here's the huge catch, right? These shortcuts, they can be dead wrong. And this quote from the source material just nails it. When we rely only on that thin slice, we run the massive risk of completely misreading someone, all because we're missing the full story. So, if our brains are basically built to make snap judgments, are we just stuck? Doomed to do this forever? Well, not at all. Let's talk about a really cool tool we can use to consciously push past that first impression and see a little deeper. And you know, the solution might be way simpler than you think. What if we could actually short-circuit this automatic process? What if we could intentionally go looking for the details our brains usually just gloss over? And what if we could do it all with a simple game? And that brings us to this really fascinating activity. It's called human bingo. Its whole purpose is simple, but it's also kind of profound. It helps us uncover the extraordinary stories that are hiding in plain sight. Okay, so check this out. This is the human bingo card. And at first, yeah, it just looks like a fun little icebreaker. But look closer at the squares. Has cried in the last week. Is an artist. Can speak another language. Its real job is to get us to ask the questions we would never normally ask, and to uncover the stories we could never guess just by looking at someone. And this is where the magic really happens. Notice the prompts aren't about, what's your job? Or where'd you go to school? Nope. We're looking for the person who has cried recently, the one who's secretly an amazing artist, the one who has a tattoo with a story. These are the things a white coat or a blue blazer will never, ever tell you. And that's the whole point, right there on the screen. Each of these little squares, it's not just a box to check off. It's an invitation. It's a potential conversation that almost always completely shatters whatever stereotype we might have walked in with. Okay, this brings us to the final part of our explainer, and honestly, it might be the most important bit. We're going to flip this whole idea around and take a look at ourself. So I want you to just take a second and really think about this. We have all been on the receiving end of a snap judgment. I mean, come on, someone saw your blazer or your white coat, whatever your version of that is, and just got your story completely wrong. What was it? What part of your story did they totally miss? Yeah, it's really easy to see it when someone else misjudges us. It's a lot harder to see it when we're the one doing the misjudging. So the final thought I'm going to leave you with is this. Who is that person you've already mentally filed away based on a first impression? Who have you overlooked simply because you only saw their blazer?